Well, hello everyone. This is the first video in a series of videos I'll be making about creating a specific race's team. Since in the tutorial I already covered the humans, well, I'll jump straight to dwarves, and perhaps I'll come back to humans once I've gone through all the list. So we'll name it whatever. Testers. You can always change the team motto, so that really doesn't matter. So I'll start right away by beginning a campaign. And here is where I'll do my work. Well, as I mentioned in the tutorial, it's very important to have an apothecary. And, well, when you have money for inducements, if you can afford one or two more, by all means, get them. You know, injuries happen really often in Blood Bowl. And as I explained in the tutorial, well, normally I don't touch fan factor, assistant coaches, and cheerleaders. You know, these are the things you buy eventually, but are not really important. Well, actually, you can't buy fan factor except at the start of a campaign. So we have rerolls instead, and I'll grab 3 since, well, it cost only 50,000, which isn't much. Okay, let's go to the team roster and purchase players. Well, here I'll cover all their positions, their specialist players and their linemen, and give overall advice about how to what to buy at first, and eventually, once you start gaining levels, what kind of skills you should be going for. Well, first of all, we'll look at the Deathroller. The Deathroller is the equivalent of a big guy for the dwarves. The only difference between the Deathroller and, let's say, ogres and trolls and such is that the Deathroller is a secret weapon. And as well, you probably can't read it, but when a player has the secret weapon skill, it means that at the end of a drive where the player was on the pitch, they will be sent off, because secret weapons are not allowed on the field, except, of course, if you have bribes, and bribes can be bought in the pre-match sequence with inducement money. So, if you do have secret weapons, make sure to get a bribe or two. Of course, you can always use a conservative type of play like I do, and when you have a Deathroller, you only use it at the beginning of the half where you receive the ball. The Deathroller is really strong. Well, of course, it doesn't have a lot of move. 4 is pretty uninspiring. 7 strength is extremely high, and if I'm not mistaken, only the Goblin Fanatic has that much strength naturally. Of course, once a player has gained some levels, and if they were really lucky, well, those stats can increase. 1 agility, well, it doesn't matter, since this particular player has the skill No Hands. No Hands means that the player simply cannot pick up the ball or catch it or whatever. So their only job is to block and help your other players on the field, but you'll never score a touchdown with them. So what that means is that the only way to gain star player points with that player is to either injure the opponent or get the MVP, which is, random. so you can't really rely on that. Thankfully, the Deathroller comes with the skill Mighty Blow, which gives a better chance to injure the opponent, so that's always good. Juggernaut is also nice, since when you take a blitz action with this player, well, if the opponent, the defender, has the skill Fend, which normally allows them to keep you away from them after your block or your blitz, well, the Juggernaut skill will simply ignore Fend or stand firm or even wrestle. So this is really nice. Of course, because of their move, well, they can't really blitz some players that's pretty far away. They also have Dirty Player. Well, that means that when they foul an opponent who is prone, they get a bonus. It's pretty much the equivalent of Mighty Blow for fouls. Break Tackle is also a very good skill for players that have very high strength but low agility. And it means that when you try to dodge out of the first tackle zone, well, it considers your strength as your agility. Well, actually, it takes your strength instead of your agility. And finally, if we look at the armor value, this is the best armor value in the game. Unless, of course, you get bonuses when you level up. But that's another thing entirely. And the Deathroller also has the skill Stand Firm, which is pretty good. Which means that technically, unless of course you're being blitzed by someone with the Juggernaut skill, it means that your player will stay in place even if you get a bad, well, if the opponent blocks you or blitzes you, and you should be pushed or pushed then fall down, well, you will stay in place. Of course, if you were supposed to be pushed and fall down, you will stay in place but fall down. But still, it can really help. And finally, the Loner skill. This is a skill that, as far as I can remember, every big guy has. That means that if you have a bad roll when you're using that player and you want to use a reroll, well, you only have 1 out of 2 chances that you'll be able to use a reroll. And that can often suck, especially when you have big guys that don't have the block or tackle skills. That can really hurt. Anyway, and here we see the price for the Deathroller. 160,000 is a lot of money. And since I have 800,000 left, well, we'll skip it.